Good morning. Um, if I said to you, what are you known by? Right? What's your reputation? Now, you're sitting in the front row all by yourself, so you're going to get it, right? Do you know my friend Rob? Well, he's the guy that blank. What about you? What is it that you're known for? What's the first thing somebody's going to say about you? And is that what you want them to say about you? We all want to be accepted, right? This whole acceptance. And a couple weeks ago we talked about equality and who's better than who. Come on, really? So if we're going to just accept people for who they are, in our mind, we're going to say, have you met my friend Dave? He's the guy that would probably be the thing that you want people to think about you. And you want them to accept that. And we do this every day, don't we? I almost said comb my hair. I comb my face, right? And I try to find a clean shirt and stuff because I want you to think that I look presentable. Boy, I shouldn't even use myself. Ladies, you get up in the morning and you do your hair. Now, can I talk about my wife? She spends no, I'm just kidding you. But we want to look a certain way so that someone will see us a certain way, right? And sometimes we ask for it in a different way. Now, I'm a long-bearded, tattooed man. I'm asking to be judged. I'm actually asking that. And if I said, if Rob said to me, this is my friend Glenn, you know him as, you'd say he's the long-bearded, fat guy that preaches, right? I've asked for this. I really have. So, when you got up and did your hair this morning, you were doing it so that you would be presentable, right? Am I wrong? We wear different clothes, and we want to be actually judged by somebody. And then we want them to accept us that way. And sometimes we do things that we think are appealing, and when somebody doesn't accept the way that we look, or the way that we've dressed, or the way that we've acted, we say, you can't judge me. But yet you wanted them to judge you in this other way. You just didn't want them to judge you in the way that they are. What do you guys want? What do you want to be judged by? What are you going for? A lot of bikers in here, right? So when Kelly and I would take off on the bikes, we would play the part. This probably isn't very appealing to a lot of people, but you put on the leathers and the skull cap and you roll up your sleeves to show the tattoos and stuff, and now I am a different character than I was when I stood up here on Sunday morning. It's because I want to be judged that way. And then when you say, dude, that's not cool, I don't want to be judged that way. I wanted to be judged the way that I want you to portray me as because of the things that I do and say. What are you guys doing? What are you asking for? And we do this. We want to be judged. Absolutely. And if something isn't just right, now maybe some of you aren't like this, but if I had something hanging from my shirt, my wife would come up here and pull it off of me. She was grooming me back there because I had some dog hair, because she wants me to have this, right? She wants me to look a certain way or something. I don't think it's working. She's going to be appalled by that, but what do you want to be known for? And what are you doing to try to make people know you that way? Everybody does it. In fact, if you don't, I know people that really don't care, and I've done this. I've been the truck driver and stuff, and I'm not going to see anybody. It didn't really matter, right? I'm actually asking to be judged as somebody that really doesn't care. My wife used to say, oh, you look like you don't have a mother, right? Or you look like you don't have a spouse. Now, you guys are laughing. Somebody must know what I'm talking about, right? So, I go to leave the thing, and that was her famous thing was she would say, you look like you don't have a mother. Now, nothing against you guys that don't have mothers. But she actually even wanted me to have a reputation of a certain kind. Do you do that to anybody else? Are you trying to make them better? First we do ourselves, and then we do somebody else. Our children, our spouse, whatever it is. You know, does this dress make my butt look fat? Now, if you're... Thank you. Now, if your wife says that to you, I'm going to tell you that you need to have a reputation of a liar. Just say no. Right? So somebody's going to say, this is my friend Joe. You know him. He's the guy that lies to his wife. No, he's the guy that's a good spouse. We all have something we're known by. And I want to make sure that you guys are doing enough so that you will be known by, I think they're a believer. I got a friend that says this all the time. We meet somebody, we go out someplace, and we talk to him when we're done, and one of the first things he says is, I think they're a believer. That's cool. Does anybody do that to you? Anybody at all? Hebrews 13:2. This is a good one. Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by doing some people have entertained angels without knowing it. How do you act? How do you... Your first impressions to somebody. And I'll go back to myself when we were doing the bike things. You know, I would pull up someplace and somebody would come out that didn't know me. The first thing we'd do is, oh, man. I mean, those were straight pipes. And I want to be known as this guy with the loud bike. Seriously. You really want to be known for that? Would anybody walk up to you and say, I think they're a believer? I hope so. Changing our ways, changing the way we talk, changing the way that we treat people is huge. And I've met a lot of people before, and I've told you that I always look for this fruit of the Spirit. If I don't see love and peace and joy and kindness and gentleness, you know them all, right? I say them all the time. If I don't see any of that, it makes me wonder where they're at, you know? And of course, if they say, what are you doing here? You know, well, I don't see any gentleness or kindness in that, so now I'm beginning to think maybe the Spirit's not with them. Are you guys like that? The first impression of you, would anybody say, I think they're a believer? They treated me kind. They treated me gentle. Oh, we don't want to be judged, do we? Yes, we do. We just don't want to be judged the bad way. We want the good judgment. That's what we do every morning. We get up and we get ourselves ready wherever you're going. We have to do certain things, and you know, I've been known for a lot of different things. I hope now that it's a Christian. Are you guys? I'm dead serious. Would anybody see that in you? Is that the judgment they're going to make? Now, we don't like this judgment. We don't. We talk about it all the time. We're not supposed to judge people. Here's some people that I want to know how you would judge, okay? Now, they had a reputation. You've heard something about them all. And what would you think if Mary was pregnant at 13? You know you would. Sarah got pregnant at almost 100 years old. That'd make Facebook. Right? And however you judge somebody, you want somebody else to judge them the same way. And you'd say, there's that old lady, she's pregnant. Now, because you want that person to judge them the same way you did. There's that girl right over there. I'm not pointing at you guys. There's that girl over there, 13, she's pregnant. Says she's never been with a man before. Got to talk about it a little bit, right? Because you want everybody to know that you know, and then you want them to treat them the same way that you would. Moses was a murderer. That'd be a hard one to get away from, wouldn't it? Isaiah walked around naked for 3 years. Right? Somebody's got to laugh with me on this. All right? Comes Isaiah. Dude, can you get a fig leaf or something? He would be known for that, right? Oh, yeah, we'd be judging him. You know, he's done that for 3 years. Here he comes again. Covering all your kids' eyes, right? Because you don't want them to see what you just judged. David was an adulterer. A lot of people would be known by that. John the Baptist ate bugs. Hey, maybe some of you eat bugs. Nobody's laughing, but that's crazy. Peter denied Christ 3 times. Would you know somebody for that? Would that stick with you? Good Samaritan woman was divorced. Is that how you talk about people? Is that what you label them? Shame on you. Simple stuff. Matthew 5:46 and 47. Last week was all about simplicity, the basics, about being a Christian. For if you love those who love you, what reward is it? What reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? If you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than the others? You know, this is actually getting to the point where it's easy to love you guys. It's easy not to judge you guys. You're my friends. This is what this is referring to. But that stranger, you might be entertaining strangers that are angels. We do this. I just talked to somebody this morning. They're people watchers. I'm a people watcher. There's nothing funner than sitting in Vegas. Just sitting on the sidewalk watching people. I must be the only one that does that. Oh, you guys all go to Vegas for something else. Now we all know you by, right? What do you see when you see somebody new? Stranger walks up to you. What do you see? And of course, they want you to see something because they've dressed a certain way and they're acting a certain way. And, you know, if they're acting very bizarre, they actually want to be judged as being bizarre. And the guy that's got all the tattoos, he wants to be judged as the guy with all the tattoos. The long-bearded guy wants to be judged as the long-bearded guy. The ladies that have all their hair done nice. See, now I can look at everybody, right? Nice hair. You want to be known for that. Well kept. How do you see people? They're walking right at you. Here comes somebody. You know they're going to talk to you or do something. They're coming right at you. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about how you're going to treat them? We're not supposed to judge people, right? Everybody says this. And yet, how can you stop that? How can you stop those thoughts that are going through your head? And I got to tell you, some of this is good, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I got to be gentle and try not to look at anybody. If you're in a dark alley and there is a very large man standing there in the dark, you have to begin to wonder what's going on. Is this safe? And then you notice that there is a gun in his hand. Now you've made a judgment, right? But you're saying, is it a cop? Is it a bad guy? You don't know, right? You don't know. But you're thinking. And then you see a dead person laying next to him. Now you know. Now, wouldn't you judge this person as somebody to run from? If you don't, you're an idiot. That's just stupid. So we have to. And we have to judge people. We have to do this to keep ourselves safe and our kids. And yet people come around and say, you're not supposed to judge anybody. Yes, you are. The person with the Spirit makes judgments about all things. Did you miss that verse? That's 1 Corinthians 2:15. How about this one? Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit to see whether they are from God. You got to judge. You got to make the call. What happens is we come to a conclusion too fast. Judgment, or to judge something, actually means that you've come to a conclusion. So now we can justify our judgment by saying, well, that's just an opinion that I got. I'm not going to judge them yet, but I need to know a little bit more. I love that. We need to make opinions in our head now, on what's going to happen, how this looks, am I safe? Can I go here? Can I go there? Should I not go someplace? You need to judge people in places, or you could be hurt real bad. But the problem is what comes out of our mouth. I have said now for almost 6 years, can you just keep your mouth shut? Wouldn't that take care of everything? I know a lot of you and what you're known for. Can we just say the good stuff? You realize that would take care of just about all the quarrels and the grumbling that we do? But we don't. Why is it that the bad stuff is in such demand? And there's such a supply for it. This is a supply and demand kind of thing. We want it so bad that people will supply it to us. I knew a guy once, and I'm sure I've told you this story. We started to talk about somebody, and he said, "Don't talk about my friend." He stopped the conversation. "Do not talk about my friend." I loved it. And we stopped before it ever got out of control. Does anybody in here do that? Anybody ever done that? Oh, I've been judged. I've been judged. Here's some things. This kind of make me weep, so just bear with me. Oh, that church isn't a real church. They judge all you guys, too. Pastor's not a real pastor. What? And, of course, they want to tell somebody, right? You know they got a dog in church? I don't know where it is, but there is. They've made this judgment against you people, too. I suppose they're talking about me. You know they're a cult. Right? I guess we're a cult. It's what somebody made the judgment. Biker church. Lee, you're very welcome. Greg, Josh, you're the only guys that are going to be in the church from now on because we are a biker church. Did you guys do any of that? No, I want you to raise your hand, right? And I do this too. I'm bad at this. You know, I talk about the people sitting behind the stained glass windows in their padded pews and not doing a thing for anybody. See, I just did it again. I did. I had to explain it to you, but was I actually wanting you to believe the same thing? I didn't have to say that. How many times do you hear me say, if you're looking for the guy in the robe, you've come to the wrong place? Did I just say something about the guy in the robe or the lady? And I just did it again. We can have opinions. We can. You have to. You have to have some sort of an opinion. But if you draw a conclusion, and this is actually judge and jury. I mean, let's look at this literally. This is what they do. They hear all the evidence and they draw a conclusion. I don't want you to judge anybody and draw a conclusion unless you have evidence. And this is what we fail to do. The first thing we see, the first thing we hear, we draw a conclusion instead of looking at the evidence. You know, I got to tell you this little story about going to a farm show once. Kent, you know what I'm talking about, right? So Kent buys all kinds of farm equipment. We go to this show, and he walks in. I'm with him, and I'm not dressed the way I am now. And nobody would help him. Nobody was coming up to him, and he's like, what's going on? I mean, these people usually run to me. And I said, well, the next one we go to, I'll just stand back and you go ahead. He walks in, and they just mobbed him. You know, what can we do for you? You see, they drew a conclusion that because he was with me, right? I'm actually got an opinion now too. But I don't want to draw a conclusion about those people. It could have been something else. They might have very well been busy. But I'm not sure. So, I have an opinion. Don't buy anything from those people. Right? You see, that's what I would say instead of, dude, give them a break. They don't know you, and, go back in. Do some business with them. I'm sure they're good people, and they were busy. It was just a coincidence, right? How come I didn't say that? What do you guys do? The first thing that comes out of your mouth after you've been with somebody, talked with them, is so important. Can you just think about it a little bit before you say it? And I had to bite my tongue last night. We actually had a couple people over, and we were talking, and I'm sitting there, and we're all starting to talk about our old churches and what had happened and different things, and I'm thinking, I am part of this. I'm doing it. I got my 2 cents in there, and actually stopped and thought, I'm going to have to rewrite the message. I'm a hypocrite. But when I said something, I think it was Kelly, when I said something about, we shouldn't be doing this, she said, oh, we're just reminiscing. We're not talking about them. And then what was the other one was, just repeating history. Yeah, right. That's exactly what we were doing, right? What do you guys do? When you start talking about somebody, or somebody gives you an idea of who they are, what they're known for, because maybe they want you to think the same way that they do, do you come to a conclusion that that's true? Is anybody going to draw a conclusion that my wife talks about me? Come on! You heard her. She was up here. You can leave this place and put on Facebook. You know what Kelly said about the pastor at our church? You would, Colt. You wouldn't do that, would you? Because you all have enough evidence that you know different. What is the evidence that you're giving anybody? We make mistakes. They might hear me say something I shouldn't have said, or drop a bomb I shouldn't have done. Would you give me just a few more minutes to actually show you some evidence of some goodness? Yeah, we all make mistakes. But are you waiting till you have enough evidence to actually judge somebody? And you can. You're supposed to judge righteously, especially Christians. This whole Matthew 18 thing, is all about discipline in the church, and it just drives me crazy. Somebody will get mad at somebody else, and they'll say, well, have you confronted them about it? So they go and confront them and come back and says, no, it doesn't work. And then the Bible says, then take 2 or 3 with you and go back again. So then you try that. And then it says, well, if they won't respond, then you're supposed to throw them out of the church. And really, it's just something that you don't like. It's not a sin against the church. This is all about sinning against the church. And people are using this just to get what they want. How many times have I said I love vanilla ice cream? And Kelly loves chocolate. And she usually wins out. I'm going to get my board of directors together and say, we got to discipline her. I want vanilla. And I want a lot of it. So they go with me and they go and say, Kelly, it looks to me like you should be eating vanilla ice cream. Nope, not going to do it. Then you're out of the church. That's not a sin. And people use this just to get their way. And they're making these judgments on people that they're not doing it right when it's not a sin, when it doesn't hurt anybody at all. What right do you have to say they're not doing it right? Because somebody's probably talking about all of us right now. Cold. Bikers. Did you see the bikes pulling in there this morning? A bunch of bikers over there. I'll take a whole room full of them. Why won't they? I want those people. I really do. They need church worse than anybody else. Not bikers. You understood that, right? You just judged me like I've never been. Yeah, I want a whole room full of bikers. I love them. And I'll take a whole room full of you guys too. Whoops. Will the worship team get ready? Is the Indy 500 on today? I got to get you out of here. No, tomorrow? You guys don't know. It's all right. Let's see what else I got here. Okay, so you know about Luke 18, 10 through 14. I don't have a slide for this, but here's what happens. The Pharisee is standing at the prayer wall, and he's saying, thank you, Lord, that I'm not like that guy. And there was a tax collector at the wall as well. Thank you that I'm not like that guy. I tithe, I do everything right, we do all the ceremonies, I wear the right clothes. Thank you that I'm not like that guy. And the other guy says he's beating his breast, saying, forgive me. I'm the worst of them all. And then he says, who do you think walked away blessed? We need to stop talking about people unless it's good. And we start to judge people so bad. I don't care how you judge somebody. What I care about is what comes out of your mouth. Why can't you just hold some of that stuff? People are supposed to be a new creation, especially a brand new Christian. And yeah, you know what they used to do, and you know what their former life was. And haven't we all walked in a church and said, what are they doing here? You see, you want forgiveness, but you don't think God's going to forgive them. And you don't want him to, because you got something against them. Why do we worry about the people sitting next to us even? And when we do see something that we don't like, why can't you just hold it? Just hold it captive. It's okay to judge. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to think about these things. It's okay to use it to keep somebody safe, keep you safe. Whatever the situation may be, it might be very important. But we open our mouth and everything goes wrong. Would anybody say, I think they're a believer because of the way that they talked, because of the way that they acted, the way that they loved? A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples. Do you want that? This is what happens. Somebody sees something, they're labeled, we go around telling everybody instead of keeping our mouth shut. But by this, the way that you love one another, they will know that you are their disciple, his disciple. Does anybody want that? Or do you just want all that other stuff? I'm a biker, I'm an athlete, I got a lot of money. I gotta tell you about some people. I know some wealthy people that will help anybody that's poor. Are they known for that? I know a guy that can have or do anything he wants, but he spends time at the hospital visiting people that don't have any family or friends. Is he known for that? Would you even know who I was talking about? You wouldn't, would you? Now, would you know that person if I said, he used to be a real... I better be careful with my language here. Right? That you all know. It's because the supply and demand. We're the demand for this kind of talk. And so other people are going to supply it. Maybe you're the supply for somebody else's demand. Just keep your mouth shut. Go ahead, draw all the opinions you want. Judge all you want. There's no harm in that at all if you keep your mouth shut. So let's just take a few minutes and just really do what we're supposed to be doing here this morning, is worship God. To realize what he did for us, the blood that was shed for us. Will you be known as the person that worships every Sunday? Maybe if you didn't. You're obviously doing it. Does anybody say this about you? Or is it all that other stuff? All that stuff that there's so much demand for. How about we start the demand for good things? Can we really want good things? Let's do it right now. We're going to stop. We're going to worship God. We're going to realize what the cost for our eternal comfort is. And don't worry about the person sitting next to you. That's just foolish. You would even come into a church and worry about what the person next to you is doing. That's drawing a conclusion or making an opinion when you should be just worshiping God. Put on your blinders this morning, just for a few minutes. Don't judge anybody for doing anything, whatever they want to do, and worship. And maybe you'll be known as the people that just love God and worship. You're just going to love this part. You're just going to love this. And you're going to judge me for it. But I'm going to have you do it anyway. Look at the person next to you and say, I love the way you worship. That's how you're going to know them from now on, right? We're going to start right here, right now. Each one of these people that are in this place have come here to worship God. They are a new creation, and it doesn't matter what they've done. They're now known, right now, as somebody that loves God. I love being a Jesus freak. I love it. Go tell everybody. That guy's a Jesus freak, and I think they're doing something out there. I don't know what they're doing, but the people come out of there and they got smiles on their face and they're loving one another. I don't care what you call it. Maybe we should get in on it. Why aren't people doing that? Right? Thank you for being part of this. Maybe we are a cult. I don't know. What'd you do with the snakes this morning? Right? Those are Wednesday nights. Yeah, that's right. See, that will make Facebook because there's a demand for that. So somebody's going to supply it, right? Stop supplying the bad. Let's start doing the good. Hold back all the bad. Just hold it in and let the good just come pouring out. Let somebody else make their own judgment. Don't help them along. And maybe you'll be known by your love for one another, because it says that by your love, people will know you're a disciple of Jesus Christ. Let's try that today. Let's pray. Father God, thank you. Thank you for giving us your living word. Thank you for sending Jesus to show us the kind of love that you have for us. God, that is how we want to be known. That is what we want people to see. Forgive me for my sins. Yes, people are going to talk about my sins, but forgive me. I just believe that your son's exactly who he said he was. And I want to make another commitment today to doing the best that I can, to follow the best that I can, to put him first, and to be the way that he wants me to be. In Jesus' awesome name we thank you. Amen. Go from this place and be a Christian.